Good morning, good evening, and good day. Welcome to Global E-commerce Experts, and welcome to our webinar today. We've got a real treat today. Today, we are talking about finding your niche, building your brand with a high value and high profit products. If you're joining us for this webinar, it means that you're probably actively searching for a gap in the market. You're eager to find a niche that you can successfully penetrate. Perhaps you already have an online business which is already successful. Perhaps you're already buying stock of goods from Alibaba, for instance, and you are ready to move on and dive in to starting your own e-commerce brand. Either way, we want you to help figure out where you fit in and how to make your brand shine. So we're going to put together today some fairly straightforward tips of different countries that you can source products from, different types of products you might source from different places, and then we'll talk about how to put that to good use in terms of building your brand and creating and levering that niche at the end of the day. We've got quite the logistical operation going on today because we've got four people on the webinar today who have come from 4 different continents around the world. So there's some various different time zones and various different people of different states of awakeness. So thank you everyone for joining us. Magla is joining us from India. Is it 10:30 p.m. there?
Yes, that's right. It's 10:34 p.m.
Margaret's joining us from Australia. It's right in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. there.
Yes, that's right.
You look pretty perky. Susanna's joining us from Mexico. Good morning.
Morning.
And Ben is joining us from the United Kingdom, from Scotland, in fact. So let's dive straight in, find out a bit more about our characters here, and find out how we can find our niche and build our business online. So Megla is in partnership with Margaret, and has over 20 years of experience in Asia sourcing. I've lived in quite a few countries around Europe. Megla, tell us about yourself and how you've got to come on the webinar.
Thank you so much, Ricky. So my background has mostly been in the sourcing industry. I worked in sourcing for over 20 years in India, Philippines, China, and Singapore. And most recently, I have actually moved back to India after 20 years, and I'm now helping Amazon e-commerce sellers and other types of importers as well source products from India. We organize sourcing trips for overseas importers. And we also have done-for-you sourcing services where we help people source products from India and also Vietnam.
Fantastic. Well, we'll look forward to hearing about that. So, Margaret, you're also a successful and experienced Amazon seller, and you co-founded the business with Megla. You're going to talk to us about the Vietnam element of sourcing goods. Tell us a bit about your background, Margaret.
Yes, certainly, Ricky. Yeah, well, I suppose started my career in very different world. I've done things had my own businesses, worked in local government, and then sort of semi-retired into the e-com world. About 2017, started sourcing from China. Wasn't very happy with that, and on my way to the Canton Fair, I stopped off in Hong Kong and found an Indian supplier, and that changed my life, and that's why I'm on here today, because I found some products back then in end of 2017 and started sourcing from India, and I'm still sourcing those products today. And I suppose really that has, is why, we do all the sourcing. And I actually travelled to Vietnam a few years ago and been to some factories, funnily enough. And when we were doing the India sourcing trip, Vietnam sort of popped up and we went, let's go to Vietnam. And now we are doing Vietnam sourcing and trips as well, and finding lots more products as well as India.
I'm sure there's a lot of exciting different products that you'll be able to tell us about shortly. So moving much further west or east, depending on where you're sitting there, we're in Latin America. Susanna, welcome. Susanna Bermudez has helped e-commerce sellers and brands all the way across the world finding ways of manufacturing and sourcing their products in Latin America, especially Mexico. Susanna, welcome. Good morning for you, I think.
Yes.
Thanks. Tell us about yourself and how you can help sellers.
Yeah, thank you, Ricky. Well, thanks for having me here. Yeah, I've been helping e-commerce sellers for the past 3 years and a half. I want to say I know that, like Mekla and Margaret, they all have like all this experience because it's been like more, known that all these markets are, you know, um, famous for sourcing, but Mexico is starting it. I mean, in this particular niche of e-commerce sellers, because for other companies, big companies, Mexico and Latin America, it's been like a great partner to source products. But that's why we've been trying to help through also we had a trip last year. It was called Discover Mexico Sourcing. Part of this, knowing that like we are so close to the United States, right? So we've been very successful. Like it's growing. It's slow, but it's growing because we all have to learn a lot of stuff about e-commerce, mostly the manufacturers. So I've been working with governments, all like in Mexico, in Guatemala, in Peru, in different countries to make this happen. Like to as a region to get stronger in being able to help sourcing a lot of products.
Okay, fantastic. Well, there's three really good options there in terms of the different products and types of ways that you can source different aspects of your business and how you can fit them in. Talking further then about the niche itself and how you might lever that into what's a brand, Ben Leonard has also joined us, and Ben is the classic millennial entrepreneur. He built a business on his laptop in a cupboard in his spare time, sold it for 7 figures, featured in Forbes magazine. Ben, it's a really interesting journey. I've got a copy of your book here. I've spent the afternoon going through it, so I'm very enjoying that. Tell us about yourself and how you can help sellers.
Hey, Ricky. That means that there are 2 people in the world at least reading my book, you and my mum. So that's really good. Thanks for having me. Good to be here. And you, yeah, you've got a copy, Mekla. So do you, Mark. So I got into e-commerce in 2016, kind of by accident. I'm up here in Aberdeen in Scotland, where oil is the big thing. Aberdeen's the oil capital of Europe, really. I was working in the oil and gas industry on the environmental side. I had to stop work because of health problems. While I took a break, I started to develop a fitness brand, which had been an idea of mine for years. I'd done nothing about it. And it didn't go very well. None of the gyms wanted to buy my stuff. So I started selling online. And that did go well. And it turned out I was good at it. And I grew that business. And like you said, I sold it in late 2019. And now I'm building new brands. I co-own several brands and I advise others in various capacities. And I teach and I help others to plan their exits as well with a brokerage firm. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a wild ride into e-commerce. And, the niche that I have found for myself is brand. What helped my first business succeed where others failed was focusing on brand rather than just selling stuff on the internet. And that's what I try to encourage people to do.
Well, there's going to be some real diamonds here for everybody to help them in this journey. So we're targeting this webinar at sellers who have perhaps already done some selling, perhaps already got a business and really want to take it now to the next level. So let's dive straight in. We're going to start with Mekla. We're going to start with India. Mekla, talk us through some of your slides. Show us the kind of things that you can source in terms of private label, and the kind of ideas that people might need that might get some inspiration from you about how you can use India to grow their brand.
Awesome. All right, so let's get started. So here are a couple of topics that we're going to be covering. Why you should source from India. What are some differences sourcing between India and China? What types of products you can source? And we'll also quickly talk about our upcoming India sourcing trip. So first of all, why should you consider sourcing from India? The number one reason is that there are a ton of very unique products that are found in India that are not found in other countries. And a lot of the products that Amazon and e-commerce sellers are having success with are handmade products. And these are products that are made by artisans in India from natural materials such as wood, metal, ceramic, glass, leather, things like that. And these products are basically made by artisans who are very skilled in producing such products. And these are skills that have been transferred from one generation to another. And, they've been making these types of products for like literally generations. But what's happened now is that there are a lot of exporters who understand the needs of overseas markets, who understand the design requirements of overseas markets, and they have leveraged the skill sets of these artisans to produce products that are, first of all, produced at mass scale, and also that are in tune with the design requirements of the US, Europe, etc. So they're not, even though they're handmade products, even though they're very traditional crafts, it's the products themselves are not really very Indian as such. They're all based on requirements and design requirements and specifications, certifications, safety requirements, etc. of overseas markets. So that's one thing, a lot of unique products. Then secondly, low MOQs. Especially for these handmade products, suppliers accept MOQs as low as 200, 500 pieces. And if you source mass-produced products, for example, from China, then the MOQs can be in the thousands. So if you're just starting out, or if you have a small budget, India is a great place to go source because MOQs are low. Suppliers also accept what is known as MOV, which is minimum order value. And what that means is that they tell you, okay, you can place an order worth X dollars, X $1,000, let's say, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, and you can mix and match various SKUs. So, that is very advantageous if you want to test different SKUs, if you don't want to invest a lot of money in one specific SKU. And that allows you to test different SKUs and also, start on a small budget. Also, a lot of the suppliers in English speak fluent English. So suppliers in India speak fluent English, and so communication becomes much easier. There's not much that's sort of lost in translation as such. So that's another advantage. You can pick up the phone and talk to them. You can do a WhatsApp call. You can do a video call. So that becomes very easy. There are also no trade tariffs on products that are imported from India into the US. And in fact, that is one reason why a lot of e-commerce Amazon sellers started looking at other areas and other alternative sourcing destinations because of the trade war between China and the US. If you're in the eco-friendly niche, then there are a ton of products that you can source from India that are made from natural materials, that are biodegradable, eco-friendly. In fact, a lot of companies also are focusing on sustainable production. And for example, they use solar panels to, in their factories to manufacture products. A lot of companies are also avoiding plastics in their packaging. So there is a lot of focus on eco-friendly products in India. If that's one of your niche, then India is a great source. Labor costs are currently lower than China and other destinations as well. And in fact, production costs in China have been increasing over the last couple of years. And because of this, a lot of the low-end production that sort of requires manual labor has been moving out of China and going to lower-cost countries such as Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India. And so if your product is manual, it requires manual labor, it's labor-intensive, then India is a great place to source the product. And some examples of such products are like bags, apparel, things like that. All right, so some of the differences between India and China. India has a lot of unique handmade products. China specializes in mass-produced products. And this is not to say that there are no mass-produced products in India. There are a lot of companies that make plastic injection products or automotive parts. There are automated robotic kind of factories in India that do all of these high-end, high-tech products. But when you're specifically talking about e-commerce Amazon sellers and the types of products that e-commerce sellers are sourcing, handmade products are doing really well. Apparel is also one big category from India. And then low MOQ starting from 100 to 200 pieces, high MOQ in China. In general, there's more respect for IP in India, but in China, IP infringements are very rampant. And one of the main reasons for this is because a lot of the Chinese factories want to sell directly on Amazon. They want to do their own brands. And so it's very common for an Amazon seller to place an order with a Chinese factory, and a few weeks later, their product is already selling on Amazon. And that's because a lot of sellers in China or a lot of factories in China want to sell directly. Whereas in India, most factories still want to focus on the B2B, and they want to focus on manufacturing. They don't want to really do D2C. And of course, lower labor and production costs in India, and then higher costs in China. No trade tariffs when importing from the US, whereas there's higher trade tariffs for the US. One of the disadvantages sourcing from India is that there are fewer product categories. So for example, if you're looking for, let's say, electronics or electrical products, then China is the place to go. Or maybe, low value plastic widgets or silicon products. Those types of products are still better sourced in China. Not all factories are online in India, so sometimes it can get difficult finding factories, whereas of course China factories are more accessible. There's Alibaba, other platforms where you can easily find factories. There's not much info available about sourcing from India. So we usually talk about sourcing from India, educate people. We've got YouTube channel as well. But other than that, there's not much information available. And for China, there's plenty of blogs, YouTube channels, a lot of information available about sourcing from China. There's just a chart to show the minimum wage comparison between India and other countries. So if you see India is $175, whereas this is China. So the chart is being covered by the videos. I don't know if we can move the videos to the left, but $360, that is China over there. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the types of products that you can source in India. And what we've done over here is just put together some images of the various types of products. And these are especially more premium, more high-end products. We've tried to, select some of the more premium products from India. So this is all a lot of wooden, metal, ceramic, leather. These are wooden items, metal items over here. This is just a list of all of the different products that you can source. Home decor and gifts. This is the biggest category that Amazon and e-commerce sellers are having success with. Kitchen and tableware, furniture, furnishings, pet products, eco-friendly products, fashion, textiles and apparel, organic cotton, leather, and even food items if you are.
Not sure if we lost Megla. Does that mean?
Yeah, no, we lost her.
I think, I'm still here.
We've lost her.
Okay. Well, sorry there, folks. I think we've dropped out on Megla. I think what we should do, seeing as Margaret, as your business partners, perhaps you want to continue a little bit on that.
Yeah,
and maybe you could swap around a little bit from a Vietnam piece later on.
Yeah, can somebody drive the slides though? Because I haven't got access to the slides.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so look, we'll just quickly go through these. These are just the different products that are available. Oh, sorry, we've lost the slides.
What kind of products are most popular for you?
Sorry, I missed that.
What kind of products are most popular for you from India?
From India? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, we're going back to India. Yeah, look, I think wooden metal is probably the most popular sort of market for India. It's so many varieties of products in India with the metal and wood. They make virtually anything that can be done out of metal. So if we go down to the next, so here, we'll do here, this is wood, mainly all the different wooden ceramic items for the kitchen. So
okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Bad internet.
We're just talking about the different types of products.
Yes. So Mark, looks like you are controlling the slides. So can you move to the next one, or somebody else?
No, I'm not.
Go with it.
I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So another big category is leather, and there are different types of leather that's available. There's bags, wallets, pet products, and also equestrian products. And for garments, for example, the leather that's used is much softer, whereas for equestrian products, the leather that's used is more sort of rustic and rough. Can we go to the next slide? Furniture. So huge variety of different types of furniture, metal, woods, leather, fabric, you name it. There are different production hubs that specialize in different types of furniture. There's fashion jewelry, accessories, and footwear, a lot of semi-precious stones too. Next. A lot of scarves, silk scarves, pashmina scarves, stoles. Next. Rubber and educational plus choice. So in fact, these rubber toys are made in my factory. We do rubber toys that are exported worldwide, very eco-friendly, biodegradable. We've got pet products, including pet beds, houses, or pet bowls. Yep, next. Eco-friendly products. So this over here on the left is, these are some products that are made from alternative materials, such as those made from cork. There's also pineapple fibers, cactus fibers, very interesting and alternative materials to leather and PU. Furnishings and macrame, huge variety of cushion covers, bedspreads, bed covers. This is a map that shows all of the different production hubs and which products they specialize in. A lot of the production is done in the north of India. Okay, next. Right, huge variety of fabrics, and specifically fabrics that are made from natural, fibers such as cotton, wool, silk, etc. Next. This is a map that shows all of the different types of fabrics that are available from India, and I won't go into the details. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so that was the end of the presentation. So really quick, how India Sourcing Network helps buyers source products from India. There are 3 ways that we can do this. We offer a DIY sourcing service where you can go to our website, indiasourcing.net, search for suppliers and contact them directly. We also offer a done-for-you sourcing service where we manage the entire sourcing process for you. And there's also an option to buy ready-made products that are already stocked in the US with our partners, Expo Bazaar. You can get more information at expobazaar.com. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so I really quickly want to talk about India Sourcing Trip, and you can find more information at indiasourcingtrip.com. But this is an 8-day trip that really focuses on helping you learn all about sourcing from India, source products, and also experience India's culture. We have a full-day India Sourcing Conference where we teach you how to source from India. We have a variety of experts that talk about logistics, quality control, finding, vetting suppliers, cultural differences. It's almost like a mini crash course on sourcing from India. We visit a trade show that is an export-focused trade show with over 3,000 exhibitors. We do mastermind sessions with various e-commerce experts from around the world. You also get access to our vetted service providers. And the trip includes everything, including hotel stay, food, transportation. We also go to the Taj Mahal, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. We do some cultural activities like a Bollywood night where you can sing and dance, and it's a very fun night to, again, just immerse yourself in Indian culture. And there's a lot of support before and after the trip where we help you prepare for the trip, and we also help you, source products after the trip. Okay, so this is the cost. And if anyone's interested, we also have a special discount code. If you use the code GEE, you can get a discount of up to $150. And you can get more information at indiasourcingtrip.com. All right, Ricky, that's it from me.
Thank you very much. I hope that anyone who's listening and watching here can take advantage of that. We heard a little bit from Margaret when you dropped out there, Meghala, but we've got 2 different options from an Asian perspective. So let's talk a little bit more about the differences, Margaret, with Vietnam and what that bit looks like in terms of how that works in comparison to India.
Okay. Do you want to go down to the slide? Sorry, Rick, or can we just do this quickly first, and then the slides will stay in order? Okay, just for people who don't know, Vietnam is really sort of becoming a very emerging market, and the exports from 2011 to 2021 have quadrupled from $96 billion to 371. Next slide, please. Okay, now exports by country, US is the leader with 29% going to them. If you actually add up EU and the UK, it'll overpower China at 17. It's about 18.5%. Next slide, please. Now, the main exports from products that are exported from Vietnam is, funnily enough, electrical machinery is by far the highest, as you can see, followed by footwear and clothing. Next slide, please. Why Vietnam? Next one. Okay, so lower labour costs. Once again, the labour costs in Vietnam are much, much lower than in China. So that makes quite a difference. Next slide. Now, why Vietnam? So, yeah, like it's got a large, large, well-educated labour force. So 59% of the population works in the labour force and 95% are literate. Next slide, please. Okay, there's free trade agreements. Vietnam has a lot of free trade agreements with EU, UK and US mainly that would affect us. Next slide, please. There are a lot of government incentives. Vietnam has a lot fewer restrictions on foreign trade, so you can get a lot of direct investment, and they're encouraging people to actually open factories up there. Next slide. Next one, please. Okay, so we've got a highlight here. So the pros for Vietnam are like lower labour costs. They've got free trade agreements with many countries, good relationships with the US and Europe, no US trade tariff, marketing share of certain categories is increasing. In China, the increase in production costs are getting higher. There's not many free trade agreements. There's quite a bit of geopolitical tension with US and Europe at the moment. A lot of high trade tariffs by the US, and the market share is decreasing. Next slide, please. Okay, now the pros for China are, with Vietnam, it has got a limited product range. Similar to India, I think if you're wanting to do a lot of plastics, a lot of silicon and those things, a lot of that should be still coming out of China. I mean, not everything will ever, I think, go from China. The infrastructure could be better in Vietnam. And most of the materials and the components, they need to be imported. So that is a little bit of a disadvantage, but still with the labour costs being cheaper, the products do work out to be more cost effective between labour and the import duties if you're going into the US from China. Right, next product categories, go for it. Okay, so we'll go through. So we've got wooden furniture and wooden products. That's really quite a big category. As you can see, there's 16.5 billion in exports in 2022. Next slide. Now, these are just some of the beautiful products you get. And so there's a lot of really different rustic furniture, a lot of carved furniture, children's toys and furniture, and a lot of wall pieces and just general anything for home decor or kitchen. Next slide. Okay, now this is something that's very unique, I think, to Vietnam is bamboo, rattan, wicker, seagrass, and water hyacinth. And if you go to the next slide, we'll just have a look at some of the great products that we get. Oh, we've missed one. Can we go back one, Rick? There should be another slide there. No, it's gone. Okay, we've missed that. I don't know where that one's vanished to. Home decor is a lot of mother of pearl inlay. Now, these products are absolutely stunning. When you see them in actual reality, they're even nicer than here in the slides, and it's something that's totally unique that you won't find getting copied from many places, because it's just very beautiful products. Next slide, please. Now, this is probably my favorite, is the lacquerware, and the bar set, or the wine rack, I suppose, on the left, is actually probably one of the most stunning pieces I've seen. It's just the way they've made that. It's so unique and very high-end product. And there's a lot of other lovely lacquerware products there. Next slide, please. So coconut shell, something a little bit different again, and I just love how they've made the little baby basket there out of the coconut shell. So if you're inventive, there are lots of things that can also be done with products like that. Next slide. Ceramics. I think one of the strengths of Vietnam and up around Hanoi is where all the ceramic villages are, and they make some absolutely amazing products. And as you can see there, there's lots of different things. Clothing and textile. Keep going, Rick. Clothing and textiles. One of their biggest markets is clothing and textiles, and as you can see, $45 billion was exported in 2022. And a lot of the bigger manufacturers are actually working out of Vietnam, selling, all their t-shirts, Adidas, all the sporting type things, as well as a lot of clothing. If you start looking on your clothing labels, you'll find Vietnam is popping up quite a lot. Next slide. Footwear. That's another very, very big industry in Vietnam. They do a lot of sporting shoes as well as normal shoes. 23 billion in exports in 2022. Next slide, please. Now, this is another really big niche, is backpacks and suitcases. Vietnam is one of the largest manufacturers of bags and accessories, and it's reached $4 billion in 2022. Do you want to go to the next slide? Okay, now these are just some of the really nice products, and you can get from canvas bags to leather to, you know, cloth suitcases. There's virtually everything, and a lot of children's beautiful backpacks from Vietnam there. Next slide. Packaging. Packaging is something that Vietnam really stands out in, and they've got 1.7 billion in just exporting of packaging. And that pink box there is probably, I've never seen so many great packaging ideas as the company that actually makes that, though. We seen them at the fair last year and they were brilliant. Next slide, please. Electronics. Electronics is very big out of Vietnam as well, $131 billion in exports. A lot of the bigger companies have factories set up there. It's a little bit more difficult for people to actually do electronics if you're just wanting to do a startup with, you know, a few hundred pieces, because most of the factories there are more equipped for the larger companies. And look, more products you can get out of India are iron and steel, rubber and plastic goods, construction, coffee, seafood, and there's a lot of hotel porcelain. If you're looking to do, you know, get into a niche where you're supplying, you know, hotels and things like that, it's great. And just one thing I will add, that just going back, I don't go back on the slides, but with Vietnam, I think you probably, a lot of the companies you will go to, you've got to find a factory that will take smaller orders. A lot of the factories are geared to only containers, so we have to be a little bit selective when we're dealing with factories there, that they are able to take anything that's for people just starting out or, you know, wanting smaller orders. Okay, next slide, please, Rick. A Vietnam sourcing trip. Look, it is a fantastic trip to go from north to south in Vietnam. It's 10 days. So we actually go to factories, we visit a trade fair, and we start off in Hanoi and we end up in Ho Chi Minh City over the 10 days. Next slide, please, Rick. Okay, the benefits is that we visit about 12 factories during the trip, some in each city. You learn the A to Z of sourcing in Vietnam. You get introduced to a Rolodex of our vetted and trusted suppliers. You see thousands of home products, gift products and fashion at the export-focused trade fair that we attend. You can join mastermind sessions with sourcing and e-com experts. And we even have Ben on our trip, who's on our show as well. He comes on our trip as an expert. We engage with brands who are already buying from Vietnam and understand the pitfalls to avoid and cultural differences, which is a little few things to learn in that. You can enjoy Vietnam's scenic beauty as we visit many famous, well, Ha Long Bay is one of our favourites, and we also do a cruise on the Saigon River, which is lovely. And the food is something to die for. If you haven't tried Vietnam food, you're missing out. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just quickly the itinerary. So it's April 17th, we do a conference, we do factory tours, networking dinner, information setting sessions, and we have an overnight on the boat at Ha Long Bay. On the 20th, we fly to Da Nang. We once again do factory visits, more information sessions. We actually go to Hoi An, the local market, and see what other fantastic products you can get there. Networking dinner and drinks, and then we actually go and do a night tour of Hoi An with the lights, which is absolutely stunning. April the 22nd, we fly to Ho Chi Minh. We visit more factories. We go to the Bintan market for a little bit of culture. We do some trade shows. We have information sessions, and we do a Saigon River cruise. Next slide, please. Now the experts here, we've got Lynn Sutton. She's actually been selling in Vietnam from Vietnam for a long time. We've got Ben. We have RSJ inspections. So we introduce you to people who can help you in the business. Next slide, please. We also have a logistics expert, and we have an e-com coach, and we'll have more people joining the trip as we go. Okay, the cost is there in front of you. And once again, if you use the code GEE, you will get a $150 discount on the trip. And I think the next slide has just got the email and the website. So if you want more information, have a look on the website, or you can email us. Thank you very much, Rick.
Well, thanks, Mark. I think it certainly gives you an indication of the kind of products that are suitable from Vietnam, and you can certainly see some pretty unique things there. Certainly get a gist of the type of uniqueness you get from sourcing from a different country. Some beautiful pieces there that you could certainly make a brand from. So the Vietnam trip is in April, and when's the trip to India?
Well, the India trip is in February 4th to the 11th, and then Vietnam is in April.
Fantastic.
So
Okay, so
20.
and they're done once a year, yeah.
Vietnam is once a year, and India is twice a year.
Okay. Well, useful to know, and I hope that some people have some benefit from that, and they've got the details from that. So, moving slightly away from Asian production, it's very interesting now to get a slightly different take, especially for American sellers, US-based sellers, or Canadian sellers. Susanna, let's give a bit more of a taste of what might be happening from a Latin American perspective.
Yeah. Well, in Mexico especially, we've been focused in Mexico just because it's like next to the United States, but the other rest of the countries has like a lot of products that we can source like easily, and there are very, very high quality products. But probably Mexico right now is the biggest thing. I don't know if you want to go to the first slide. So why Mexico? It's very important that not just because this is the border with the U.S. Can you go back? Yeah. So we have like the trades. So in terms of tariffs, 90, I want to say 99% of the products do not pay taxes coming from Mexico to the United States. Also, the quality of the products are like it's high because just like Mekla and Margaret said, that in the difference with China or with China probably is the majority of the difference, but the products are more handmade. Yes, we have like big factories, but anyway, like they focus on the quality of the products. And the big companies, yes, I mean they have also big like great quality, but also the quantities are like small. You don't have to order like 10,000 units at a time. What we've been seeing with the biggest manufacturers is probably 2,000, 5,000 at top. That for many of the sellers, that's not a big quantity, right? Then logistics, it's in some cases, if you're manufacturing in a city like Monterrey, in 1 hour and a half you will have, or 2 hours you will have your product in the United States, for example, right? So also the lead times, that's something that not even China or any other country can beat, and that's one of the biggest advantages of manufacturing in Mexico, whatever you want to manufacture, right? Other of the big advantage that we have is that, well, labor cost is lower than in the rest of probably of the countries right now. And the inventory management, that's something that a lot of sellers are taking advantage of that, because they don't have to keep their products in the warehouses in the United States. They can keep part of their inventory in the Mexican manufacturers. So it's something that they really value, right? And right now, yeah, Mexico is the biggest trading partner to the United States to date. So and I think that's gonna continue growing and they're gonna just get strain their trades for the next few years. That's why I said, and I've been saying for the past 3 years that Mexico is the next China, and I'm not just referring to Mexico. I'm referring to the entire continent, because we know what we can do, like in Latin America, and being the backyard of the United States. It's going to be very beneficial for the entire continent, I believe. So some of the products, pretty much like all the products that the girls mentioned, like it's what we can manufacture in Mexico, like leather products, all kind of leather products, ceramic, pottery, like clothing, textiles of all kinds, like bedding, sheets, wood products. One of the products that are having like more search in Mexico, it's big furniture. Why? Again, because like you can move easily the furniture from, for example, Guadalajara to the border with the United States. So it's a lot of clients that we have are doing big pieces of furniture. Then plastic injection, it's very competitive. We have a lot of manufacturing facilities for plastic injection in Mexico. Also eco-friendly products. In our countries, we are very eager to, just make more and more products that are like friendly with the environment in by all means, right? Like from the oceans and from fibers or whatever it takes, to reduce the carbon footprint. Then pet products too. I really sometimes I don't like to talk about categories and specific products, but more like materials. So everything made like with leather, with wood, with metal, all those kind of products. Packaging too, fitness products. Now we're getting a lot of into the beauty industry and also in the fitness industry. Like there's a lot of products and supplements and a lot of things that are being made in Mexico that are like very good quality. And that's been something that we would be working a lot with our clients. So that's some of the examples, with different types of wood that we have in our region. Big pieces of furniture, like I mentioned before, different techniques for the furniture. If you want to go to the next slide. Other thing is like light fixtures. That's something that we're getting big on. Light fixtures. If you can see in the slide that it's to the bottom to the left, that's something that is very unique. And these are made like all the time in different cities in Mexico. And I'm pretty sure that probably you can find that in other countries like Asia or whatever, but it's not like natural to put it in some way, right? So maybe it's plastic sometimes. So yeah, like we have a lot of products that we can help our customers to source. What we've been doing more than like just the trips. We did a trip last year to Monterrey with people from Australia, but it was a private trip. So what we're doing mostly is it's kind of that, like there's a lot of sellers that are very interested in building their brands. So they contact us and we take them to the different cities depending on the specific products that they want to source, and we help them to develop the entire thing to create something really new and nothing that anyone else is doing out there, right? So and they are like very happy with that, of like being able to travel to Mexico and meet the manufacturers directly and just talk to them. And some of them are very jealous with their products, so they don't want to necessarily go to a trip where everybody's gonna see what they're gonna source.
Susanna, thank you. It really gives you a gist there of some perhaps similar types of products that you can get from different places in the world. So you can really start to dial it in to tariffs and shipping costs and availability and MOQs and finance terms, ease of trading with different currencies, those types of things.
Yeah.
So it's worth noting before we move on to Ben, Global E-commerce Experts is an agency which helps businesses to grow internationally online. So we concentrate on growing e-commerce businesses into new countries around the world. Many of the bits and pieces that are required to help you trade online will also help you to source and trade in the products that you're procuring as well, because it will give you access to shipping options. It gives you access to payment gateways, ways of moving your money around, transferring currencies, things like that. Let's kind of piece this all together now, because we've seen 3 different examples of different ways that you might get some inspiration for products. Let's talk a little bit more about the brand itself. Ben, talk to us about crushing it online.
Okay, I'd love to. So we've heard a lot of great stuff about where we can find our products. That said, we need to understand who we're going to sell our products to. That is why you need to find your audience. Now, for most people on this session already have an e-commerce business, but not everyone on this session has an e-commerce brand. They have a business, but they're just selling stuff online, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's 2023, and we need to stop just selling stuff online, and we need to build a brand. And if you already have what you think is a brand, then hopefully you'll take some value from my take on building a brand and be able to think about how you can apply this to your business / brand. So we need to understand our people before we can sell anything to them. Because your customer isn't everyone. I think most people on this session should know that. The common narrative that we used to think about was create something and then try and sell it to people. But actually, we want to flip the script. We want to have an audience that's eager to buy before we've even got a product. So we want to put the audience first. So who are your people? Well, you may already know the answer. Maybe they're mindfulness practitioners, swimming pool owners, scuba divers, truck drivers, gardeners, MMA fighters, eco-warrior parents. And what do you notice about all those? They're all niche, right? The power of the niche. It's all about the niche. In fact, if we speak American English for a moment, then we'll know that the riches are in the niches, right? I'm a huge fan of that phrase. So if we know that we need to go niche to uncover who we're going to sell to, then before we can develop our product, we need to really think about what is it that they want, right? Like back in the day, we all had to buy whatever we needed from a general department store, which sold like pretty much everything, right? If we were really passionate about something, we could seek out a niche store, like a specialist fishing tackle shop or something. But very rarely did any town or city have very many niche stores because there simply weren't enough people in that local area to support it. But these days, it doesn't matter where you are, because even the most niche, obscure interest has enough interest globally to mean that we can drive people from all over the place, whether they're in Nebraska or Montenegro, to our website or our Amazon listing or our Walmart listing or our Etsy listing or whatever it is, and get them to buy from us. The key is that we connect with those people because we are just as passionate about that niche as they are. And it might seem limiting to target a specific niche, but there's no such thing as going too niche, because it's within those niches that we find the most loyal and dedicated customer bases. And once we've understood what our niche is, then of course we want to develop our product. And I always encourage people to develop products and build brands around niches that they understand, that they themselves are passionate about, rather than just trying to sell stuff. But I'm not an inventor, I hear you say. Doesn't matter. You don't need to be an inventor. Let's look at some ways that you can develop your first product or develop new products for your existing business if you've already started. And you can do all of this, by the way, with manufacturing partners that you find in Latin America, in India, in Vietnam. So I'm a huge fan of a new take on an existing product. So For example, let's say you're a member of a knitting club and you meet once a week, and you've noticed that the other members of your knitting club, some of them have arthritis, and they find it really difficult to hold the knitting needles. Well, you develop easy hold knitting needles for arthritic knitters. Like, knitting needles are not new. It's just a fresh take on an existing product. And because you know the market is there, because you've observed these people with your own eyes, you immediately sidestep the competition by making your product unique. Here's an example of something that I did in my first brand. That image has gone a bit funny on the slides, but never mind. Those are, in my hand there, I'm holding one of a pair of Beast grips. So Beast grips, my first brand, Beast Gear, was a fitness brand, still is a fitness brand. Now, Beast grips are thick bar adapters. They make barbells and dumbbells wider, making it more challenging to lift them. But thick bar adapters already existed. It wasn't new, I didn't invent it, but I put a new take on it because I designed a better version with a better shape and better function, and then I patented it. The market leader before that had, for about 20 years, had like zero competition. But I came in, improved the product with a fresh take, resonated better with my audience, who I took the time to understand. They wanted a better performing, fairly priced, and frankly cooler looking version. I came in with a fresh take and cleaned up the market. So how can you apply a fresh take to your business or brand or your ideas? Here's another example of product development that I like. A Franken product. This is where we take off-the-shelf parts to create something new. And I did this with my first product. The first product for my first brand was called the Beast Rope. It was a jump rope. And I didn't have enough money to pay for injection molding, to pay for tooling, to create unique products at the time. I had £2,000 plus £500 borrowed from my dad. So I had enough money to say to my manufacturing partners, okay, send me all the samples you've got. And they did. And I tested them, and my friends tested them, and my athlete partners tested them. And we said, okay, we like this bit, we like that bit, we like that bit. What happens if we put these bits together? Can you make that bit a bit longer? And when we did that, we ended up with something unique, and that was my first product, the Beast Rope. So it's very possible to create something relatively unique on a budget. Now, something that you might have heard, especially among what I like to call the BS gurus, who you'll hear about or you'll see on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, and TikTok, you might have heard them telling you to pick a winning product, or that they can teach you to pick a winning product. This is terrible advice. So they use software to scan Amazon and find products which are selling relatively well, but are quite new and don't have very many reviews yet. And they'll tell you that that's a winning product, and it's absolute nonsense. And it's absolute nonsense because, first of all, if everybody else is taking their advice and using this software to find this winning product, then it's going to become very difficult soon, because everybody else is going to start selling the same thing as you, right? So very soon, saturated market, race to the bottom. Secondly, it's highly unlikely that the winning product that you find is going to be anything you're passionate about. If your passion is astrology and you find a winning product in the fish keeping niche, well, you're not going to have any passion to turn that into a brand that you actually care about. And thirdly, this myth of a winning product is simply a lie, because it makes people think that the product wins and all you have to do is pick it and you've won and you're going to print money. But the product doesn't win. You, the entrepreneur, have to put in the hard work to build a legitimate brand and build quality products that you've sourced in Latin America, India, or Vietnam, and that makes people's lives better as it relates to your niche, with quality products and a quality experience. So don't listen to the lie of picking a winning product. It's lazy advice from people who've never had a successful e-commerce business themselves. How you actually win is positioning, okay? Positioning is how you win. And let's take a little bit of a look at how we do that now. So really, positioning is all about your value proposition. And your value proposition is basically asking the basic question, what makes a customer choose your brand, okay? At its core, your product's value should be easily distinguishable, whether that's in its design or in its function or in the price. And those are the three pillars of uniqueness: design, function, and price. So let's look at some of them. So design is all about having a distinct identity. So your product, and this applies, by the way, at both the product level and the brand level, okay? So your product and your brand want to be unique and stand out. They want to potentially be bold or controversial, or in some way zig where the competition zags. Think about, like, say your competitors got round edges, you want to have sharp edges. If your competitors' brands use subtle language, perhaps you want to have quite audacious language. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the product itself. It can be at the brand level. So think about how you could apply that to your business. Then the next pillar of uniqueness is function, all right? We want our products to basically be better than the competition, or at least just as good. And then we can differentiate in some other ways. So we want our products to be better or different than the competition. For example, maybe they last longer. Maybe they're ergonomically better, or they come with bonus features. Or maybe you do something unexpected, like your products zig where your competitors zag. Like, for example, the beast scripts that I just showed you were a better shape, were made of a better material, and had better grooves in the product itself, which made it perform better. I've recently launched some boxing gloves with a new brand of mine, and they come with an app, a training app, and my competitors aren't doing that. Or with my old weightlifting belts with Beast Gear, I used to specially source really strong special rivets that none of my competitors were using. So how can you improve your performance of your products? And then how can you collaborate with these manufacturing partners that you're going to work with to do this? That's the question to ask. And there you go. That you can see there, that's the competitor that was ruling the market for like 20 years. They tried to sue me and failed because they were scared of me coming into the market. That was quite a fun story, but that's a story for another day. It's in the book. So Ricky, you can enjoy digesting that chapter. And then the next pillar of uniqueness is, I can't remember the page. If only you could do a Control F on an actual physical book.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah.
The next pillar of uniqueness is price. Okay, and what's really important about price is you don't want to end up just in a race to the bottom. It's okay to be cheaper than the competition. I was with the B scripts, by the way. But that's only because they had been unchallenged for like 20 years. So they were selling at a ridiculously high price. It's not always about being cheaper. You might want to be more premium. Maybe your product is mahogany and your competitors are plywood, right? And it's really important also that the price mirrors quality and value. And what I mean by that is, yes, you want to have a quality product, but you also want to think about your price in terms of the value it adds to your user's life. It could be that we're able to source a product for, pretty cheap, but it adds a tremendous amount of value to the user's life, and therefore you can charge a lot. And when we get our sourcing right, and we get the right costs, and we negotiate the right payment terms, and we work with the right freight forwarders, we potentially can make our products for cheaper than our competitors are, but they're better quality, and then we position our brand as highly premium, and we're selling for more. And that is, that's when we're really winning, and we can, you can absolutely do that. But I can't be the competition, it's too difficult. All these competitors are there, I can't do it. Yes, you can, right? How we win is like this. First, we build better, okay? The whole idea of, it comes back to like picking a winning product. It's a fallacy. You have to put in the effort to create a quality product. For example, I'm currently making a baby carrier. It says there I'm on my 6th prototype. I'm actually on my 7th. I probably could have launched it after 3 prototypes, but it wouldn't have been good enough. The market would have slammed me. The audience would have slammed me. And the reputation of the brand would have been tarnished. You can't outmarket a crappy product. So some people listening to this might be doing a business that's turning over many millions of dollars because they got into e-commerce when it was pretty easy and they could just sell rubbish. But that's not sustainable. So if you are in that, if that's you and you need to like take a step back and ask yourself some serious questions, that's okay, because you're doing big enough numbers that you can actually afford to invest in improving your product quality and your business quality and building a legit brand that people love. And then one day you can sell that. The next thing that we can do is position better. So here's a little example. Boom by Cindy Joseph is a fantastic brand. So Cindy Joseph, she's passed away now, became a model when she was 49. And she hated two things. One was the way that the modeling industry treated people like her, and also the way that the cosmetics industry didn't talk to people like her in a way that spoke to her. So she developed a makeup line for women who are aging with beauty, and she absolutely crushed it. And she's basically, proving, she called it Boom, obviously, for Boomer, Boom by Cindy Joseph. And it proves that great positioning can really lead to strong market engagement, even in tough markets. And there's not really many markets tougher than cosmetics, is there? So how can you position your brand differently than other people in your market to win? And we can differentiate better. And again, this is at product level and brand level. So you can make some aspect of your product or brand distinct. Could be the color, the shape, the function, or the story even. And then double down on that. Talk about it all the time. Okay. So for example, that's me. I'm an average Joe with asthma who's averagely fit. But I made myself the face of a fitness brand. And it worked a treat because I zigged where everyone else sagged. So this is at a brand level rather than a product level, obviously. I've already shown you a couple of examples of B-secure products, but at a brand level, it really worked because people buy from brands, but they connect with people. And so, how many of my customers were likely to be like elite level athletes? A tiny percentage. Whereas actually, I was selling to real people so my message to them was, you're welcome in my tribe. So when you're thinking about positioning your products and your brand, and it could be, my brand's a fitness brand, you might be selling gardening products for all I know. Doesn't matter. The principles apply. How can you connect with your audience and resonate with them and potentially make yourself the face of the brand as well? And zig where others zag, right? So that's what this was about. This was so many things. This was zigging where others zag. This was resonating with my customers. This was positioning as, one of them. How can you apply these to your brand? And we can market better, right? And, what I just showed you, that is marketing as well. But I like to talk about speedboat marketing, right? Which basically means that when we're a little nimble business, we can outmaneuver the big guys because they are lumbering freight ships that they take half a day to turn around. But when we're a speedboat, we can pivot fast. We can implement change fast. We don't have layers of bureaucracy either. And because we're going niche, we resonate deeply with people. If I have a brand that makes specialist products for people who are deeply passionate about maintaining bonsai trees, that's going to resonate much deeply with them and much more passionately than if I have a brand that sells generic stuff. Like if I'm trying to sell laundry detergent, nobody cares because it's generic. But if you sell something that people care about, then you're going to find it so much easier to market to them. So the next part then, after we've been developing our products, is to develop our brand. So that's where we're going now. So what is a brand? I've used the word a million times already, but I haven't actually defined what it is. So I really ought to do that. Well, there's lots of different definitions and people will argue over them. But I think everybody is basically roughly on the same page and we're all trying to get at the same thing, which is this. It's a group of products that solve problems for a particular group of people. Excuse me. That could be gardeners, mountain bikers, drummers, dentists, or gamers. And branding is how you make people feel about your brand. So branding and marketing are often confused, but they are different. Marketing is how you tell people about it. So advertising, which is a type of marketing, and marketing, they are important for your brand, but they don't define the brand itself. But for now, what we need to know is that branding is how you make people feel. Think about your own favorite brands. How do they make you feel? Right? How do your favorite brands make you feel? They might make you feel excited or relaxed or fierce or loyal. Maybe you love that brand. Maybe you'll fiercely defend that brand. One of my favorite brands is a brand of drum kit called Sonor. I play the drums. And when I see Sonor's content, I feel, hyped up, like I want to go and smash my drum kit. And you can apply that kind of thinking to your own brand, okay? When we get it right, our customers love our brand because we actually make them feel something rather than it just being a generic widget, okay? And the question then is, how do your favorite brands make you feel that way? Like, what is it that they're actually doing to make you feel that? Well, I kind of already gave it away. It's the vehicle that we use to deliver our branding, and that's marketing. So we got to master our marketing. And marketing is actually more important than branding, which sounds odd coming from the guy that loves branding so much. But ultimately, marketing is more important because you can have the best branding in the world, but if nobody knows about it, it might as well not matter. Might as well not exist. It's kind of like if a tree falls over in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it make a noise? If you have the best branding in the world and you can't tell anyone about it, or you're not very good at telling anyone about it, may as well not exist. And Seth Godin, who's an absolute legend of marketing, said you're either remarkable or invisible. Make a choice. And that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed that and you got some value out of that and you feel like you can apply some of that to your brands. And as Ricky was saying before, I've just written a book about this. It's on the screen now. It's called Quit Stalling and Build Your Brand. It's on Amazon, which I heard is a good website for buying stuff. Thanks, Tommy. There you go. Yeah, Quit Stalling and Build Your Brand.
Ben, thank you very, very much. There's a few takeaways for me here. Firstly, I need to finish Ben's book because I didn't get to read more than 2 chapters of it this afternoon. I'm going to finish it. Secondly, Susanna, I want one of those lights, the ones that look like horns of like antlers of a deer. I want one of those. I want that.
Okay.
Finally, I want to go to India and Vietnam on a sourcing trip. So today's kind of getting quite expensive, if I'm honest. Nonetheless, what it's done is it's inspired me. I'm here as an e-commerce expert as well. It's inspired me. I hope that it's inspired other people that have been listening. The reality of the situation is there's a huge amount of options here. There's a huge amount of options for the type of products you might get, how you might go about doing it, and then also how you might then position your brand and lever that to turn that into ultimately profits for your business. Global e-commerce experts can help you with internationalizing those products once you've found a good product and you've found a brand and the right people to talk to. We can take you to new markets around the world, and we can help you to globally expand as the final piece in the puzzle of products and niche and brand. Of those kind of core principles that Ben and Susanna and Margaret were talking about. So I think the outputs from everyone here is just opportunity, huge opportunity. I just want to say thank you to everyone for your insightful input, some really useful and exciting bits of information there for everyone to work from. I hope that you're able to capture access to each of the candidates who we're talking today to find out how you can get a hold of them. You can also, of course, follow Global E-commerce experts on social media. And we do a lot of other podcasts and webinars on this types of things in terms of growing your business. So final words to say thank you. Stay focused on growing your brand. Stay focused on growing your e-commerce journey. And we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Thanks, team, on board. And thanks, everyone listening in.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.